Hello, this is Victor and welcome to my newest video about trading in Path of Exile. So you might have seen the video that Connor published like 1 or 2 days ago. He talked about the weighted sum and how to use weighted sum. And even the people who haven't seen that video might be asking like, what the hell is weighted sum? How do I use it? Even if they do understand it, maybe they don't know how to use it efficiently. So I'm here to tell you, teach you how to use weighted sum efficiently and some tools to make you help understand how weighted sum works basically. So first of all, I want to show you one thing that you can do to incorporate weighted sum into your searches. And that is through POB. This is path of building. If you don't know path of building, then this is the wrong video that you're watching. You shouldn't be watching this video. For example, let's say we want to buy a new bow. And like, for example, this bow has fire damage, cold damage, lightning damage, crit multi, bow attacks fire, 2 additional arrows, strength and intelligence, and critical strike chance. So we can guess how good these modifiers are, but you will never know how important these modifiers are unless you actually calculate them one by one. And how you calculate them is like you reduce some amount of damage on the item and see the change in the DPS and correlate the numbers between them, and it's just a whole mess. Like I'm a math engineer and even I can't like topple that problem. So we don't need to do that. We can just use POB in order to solve that problem. So I'll just show you how to use POB to generate weighted sum searches for your items. So when you're at this window, you can click trade for these items on here. Like maybe you haven't seen this button before, but if you click this, then it's gonna show you a lot of things. Like you're gonna say, oh, I don't want to do this, but it's actually really easy. Take it easy. So this is weapon 1 that we are searching for, and we are like, this says, okay, we are on PC, we are on League Standard because the league is ended and the new league hasn't started yet, so all we have is Standard. It doesn't really matter. If your weighted sum search is correct, you can just change the league and use it for the next coming league. And when you see here highest stat value, it calculates the stat values and it's gonna sort by stat values. That's fine. We don't need to touch any of this. And it says adjust search weights. You don't need to do that. It says here it's currently sorting by full DPS by 1 and effective hit pool by 0.5. You can change these, but you don't need to do that. So just click find best for weapon 1. When you do that, it shows up this window. It's gonna ask you how many links do you want, how many like max level do you want. You don't need to change any of this. You can just click execute, and it's gonna take all the mod weights and it's gonna generate mod ratings for the item that is linked to your build. Like it checks your build, calculates the best mod ratings for your item, and then generates your search link for that item. And it says control click to open in your web browser. You're gonna do that, and now it makes a search about some arbitrary number. So what did it search of? So when you check this, it like there are a million things that are here. So for example, add lightning damage, makes sense, and the weighting is 0.65685. Let me okay. And added cold damage is the same, or almost the same, basically, because like if there's a difference, like for example, you picked one more increased cold damage modifier somewhere, or something that inflates or makes cold damage better for your build, basically. So cold damage is a little better for our character, and fire damage, again, it says implicit because fire damage implicit is possible with the high space, and it says again almost the same value as the other flat damages. And also increase physical damage because apparently this is also very useful for our build. And the chaos damage to local, like it's gonna have a lower value, but it's still gonna have some value because damage is damage. And the added cold damage to attacks with this weapon per 10 dexterity, it has 16 because you're not gonna get much value out of this mode, and 16 is very low because all you're gonna get is like 1 to 4 with this modifier, and like it's not gonna be in any of the searches basically. So increased critical strike chance, for example, on implicit has 0.766. So this basically calculates all the good modifiers that you can get for your bow and just lists them all like this. Now the thing is that we need to think about in this situation, like if you search like this, you're gonna get a couple of bows. Like for example, this bow, increased physical damage. It has 2 flat damages, 1 crit chance, accuracy rating, and also crit chance on the implicit. It's a good bow. It's not bad. And the second bow actually has 3 flat elemental damages and also the implicit, and also has like projectile speed, cold resist, but we are not really valuing it that high. It has global accuracy rating, whatever. So the items we are getting are actually good, but the thing is, this weighted search doesn't really incorporate everything that is useful for your build. Only you know that. For example, when you look at this item, this bow for example, it has bow attacks fire 2 additional arrows. We know that additional arrows are a good thing, right? You want that in your bow, but it doesn't really add any damage to your build. Like if you add 1,000,000 arrows, the damage is gonna be the same. It's not gonna change your damage in PoE, but you know that the build is gonna become better because of that modifier. So you need to know which modifiers you actually want in the weapon before you start searching and using this method to search for your items. So when you look at some bow like this, you need to go into the details and you want to pick, like it uses all the slots that the website is gonna use. For example, if you wanted to add bow attacks fire additional arrows and weight, for example, you said like this bow has a weighting of 467, so additional arrows should be weighted about 150, depending on like what you're valuing more, like DPS or additional arrows. It's up to you. But for example, if this is just the whole value of this bow is 467, then I'm gonna say 120, for example, for the additional arrows. But when you search like this, it's gonna say query is too complete because there are too many lines. So you need to delete one line. And if you look at the weightings or the modifiers, for example, plus to maximum frenzy charges, like how often you're gonna see maximum frenzy charges on a bow. So it's something, or maximum energy shield. You can just delete this and delete one more if you want, like block attack damage. It is useful, of course, but you delete them and you just search them again. And that's the way you actually try to find some good bows. And it's not enough actually. So for example, this is a good bow, right? This is good. And this is like 20 kills. It's a bargain basically. But some bows might actually be better than this bow because this has 6 modifiers and you can't craft anything on it. So if the item has a crafted modifier or has an empty suffix or a prefix, then that item is going to be more valuable to you because you can craft something on it. So go to the search, and if you type empty, it says empty prefix, empty suffix, and empty modifiers. I'm just gonna click, like you don't need to do empty because it might already be a crafted modifier on the item and you can change the crafted modifier. So for example, modifier, if you say modifier, it's gonna say number of modifiers. For example, if you said number of modifiers weight is like, let's say we want to have as few modifiers as possible, because if we can get the value with as few modifiers as possible, then that bow is going to be more valuable to us. Because we can craft something and we can exalt it, right? So number of modifiers, let's say -10. So if a bow has 6 modifiers, it's going to get -60 to its value. It has 5 modifiers, it's going to have -50 to its value. So how much do you value an empty prefix or suffix? You can do this with prefixes and suffixes too, by the way. If you say my prefixes are way more valuable to me than suffixes, or for example you are searching for a ring and the ring has, like, rings can have resistances or like suppression and whatever, or maybe you want a ring that should have an open prefix because you want to craft minus cost to skills or something. So you need to determine what you want. For example, modifiers, I'm going to value every modifier at, like, for example, 60. So if you type -60 here and search, then you're going to get something like this. It's going to be 150 divines, of course, because we haven't reduced the number that is on the weighted sum. So for example, if we type 250 here, so the first bow is increased physical damage, fire damage, and bow attacks fire 2 additional arrows. Of course, we don't want a bow with 3 modifiers, right? We need at least 4 modifiers. So you go to the search again, you go to modifiers, and you type for the minimum you type 4, and then it excludes the bows that have 3 or fewer modifiers. So this bow, for example, has a bow attack spell and additional arrow, 3 elemental prefixes, and also 2 suffixes that are beneficial for us. And the next bow actually has a crafted modifier. So this bow has 6 modifiers again. This is 6 again. This, for example, has 4 modifiers, and its prefixes are actually excellent. That's why this bow is actually valued very highly by our new empty modifier calculating weighted sum. So this bow, you can craft a suffix and then you exile slam it, or you can maybe craft the suffixes all together. Like you can do a lot of things. And for example, this bow again has 4 modifiers: crit multi, 2 flat damages, and bow attack spell and additional arrow. It's valued very highly. So this is the way that I do my searches. I'm gonna give you one more example. For example, let's go with jewels. Like, what is valuable in jewels? For example, this build says crit multi with cold skills and crit multi with elemental skills are valuable. But we could already guess that because we are playing Ice Shot of Penetration, and Ice Shot has elemental and cold in its tags. But what else could be good for this build? For example, let's say I can't afford this. I can't afford 2 crit multi and 1 life jewels yet. So which, like, maybe flat damage on abyssal jewels could be better for this build. Do you know? Have you checked? Maybe you haven't. So if you go to the trade for these items again, and then you go for the jewel socket, for example, the second one is good because the first one is a cluster jewel. So the second one, you click find best, and then you click execute, and it executes the same thing again, and it's gonna give us a link. There we go, and we control click it. Now we get again a whole myriad of modifiers. For example, increased throwing mine throwing speed. Is it good for this build? Yes. Is it so good? No, but it is good. Also crit multi with multiplier with cold skills, crit multi with elemental skills, just global crit strikes multiplier. That's also good, and all of them are have the same weighting because crit multi is crit multi, right? But you're gonna get more with this elemental skill and cold skill ones because they can go up to 18, but just the crit multi can go up to 12. Damage penetrates elemental resistance if you haven't killed recently. This shows up because in PoE you need to actually say like, have you killed recently and haven't killed recently, whatever. So you need to clean this up a little bit, you know. So for example, if you haven't killed recently, that's not that beneficial. Like we can just put 5 in there. Because like it's gonna be useful in bosses, but not useful in while you're mapping. So this is actually a good search. Let's try searching for items. So this is, for example, mine throwing speed, damage with poison, and attack speed. It's kind of bad. So let's increase the number in the weighted sum. So this is 33. Let's go with 60. 60 is still too low, it seems. Let's go with 70. Now, we have this Abyssal Jewel. It says lightning damage to attacks, cold damage to bow attacks, and lightning damage to bow attacks, but it doesn't have life. So, if you want life for sure on your jewels, you need to go to this weighting again. You need to add a stat group because we're gonna say, I want life no matter what. So we're gonna say count, and we're gonna say life, and we're gonna add total maximum life. And we're gonna add increase maximum life because it could be abyssal jewel or a regular jewel. And I'm gonna type minimum 30 on the regular maximum life and 6 on the increased maximum life. And type 1 in the count. So either one of these should be true in order to get us the item. And it might not show any. Okay, it says query is too complex. So we need to remove 1 or 2 modifiers from up this list. So let's see. So chaos damage is pretty insignificant for our build. So let's remove these chaos damages and let's search like this. It's still too complex. Let's remove maximum lightning cold resistance. Let's remove that. Let's remove, let's see, armor if you haven't killed recently. Let's remove that and search. Okay, so the first item is actually pretty good. So this is fire damage to attacks. That's tier 3. Cold damage to attacks, tier 1. 48 to life. This is no longer possible. And also tier 2 to lightning damage to bow attack. So if you actually copy this item and go into your POB and you paste it into here, you can actually just like you don't need to use it. When you paste it, it's gonna say, for example, replacing the socket number 2. For example, this equipping this item in socket number 2 will give you, it says it will give us 80,000 combined DPS, and it's gonna remove 55 from the effective hit pool, just 55. So this is actually a better jewel than what we have. Like 2 crit multi and percentage life is worse than this jewel that we found. So at the build, for like I'm looking at the effective hit pool, like this is 68.5 and our DPS is 5 million. And when we replace the second jewel, we actually get a boost in combined DPS and our effective hit pool almost didn't change. So this jewel is actually better for our build than double crit multi percentage life jewel that we already had. One thing to note though, this doesn't really, again, calculate everything. For example, blind chance is actually very beneficial if you want something defensive, or anything that goes with if you have killed recently or if you haven't killed recently, you need to check them. Like you need to remember those modifiers and you need to incorporate them into this huge search that POB has generated for us. So if you want to look up an item like that, you need to think about those things as well. In addition, for example, you're gonna look for gloves. If you click this again, go for the gloves. For example, you can just adjust the settings. So full DPS is 1, and when you go down, it's gonna say effective hit pool is 0.5. You can just set this to 1, save, and search for gloves, for example. Let's see what it comes up with. Like, you're never gonna see unique items from this. You're always gonna see like magic and rare items. So this, for example, damage with hits against shield enemies, 2 resists, attack speed, and fizz damage. This is actually very good. So when we look at the details, it's gonna have, of course, all the resistances, the frenzy charges, the flat damages, the life, whatever. So it's also using things like attack block damage and whatever. So if you want to include life in this, again, you need to add a stat group, say and, you type life in here, maximum life, and you're always gonna need maximum life, but you can put a minimum number here, for example 50. Also, this is 284, so if you want life, but you want to value life as well, you can, like, for example, remove this impale on enemy and just type life again, and put the weight on, let's see, 1 is pretty good, or maybe like 0.8 or something. Like, how did I come up with this number, 0.8 or 1? So when I look at the damage modifiers, like add lightning damage, it's 0.9. And for example, when you look at the resists, the resist is actually 4. So for example, an item can have 40 resistances, for example. Do you value 40 resists equal to like how much life? For example, 100 life. So 40 resist should be equal to 100 life. And 40 resist times 4.7, when you calculate like this, 4.7 times 40, it equals to 188. And if that should equal to 100 life, divided by 100, it comes up to 1.88. So my life's weighting should be 1.88 if you equalize 40 resist to 100 life. If you value life more, then you should put, for example, 2 here. So if you search like that, then items with life and resist are going to show up, but we are getting shitty items, so we should increase the amount of the weighted sum we are seeking. For example, 400 should be fine. It is in fact not fine. 550 maybe. Okay, for example, this glow. Dexterity, energy shield, life, resist, and crafted resist. Again, this takes into account like the implicits, the non-modifiers. Again, you need to put in things like, you can say, I want an empty suffix modifier on my item. So you put weight to, for example, 150 or 100. This item, for example, has life, dex, resist, and it also has an empty suffix modifier. So we can actually craft something on this item. This, for example, has 1 empty suffix, but it also has a crafted suffix already. So you can do this as well. For example, we are valuing suffix modifier by 100 value, but a crafted suffix modifier minus 100. Then they're gonna cancel each other out. For a stock complex, we need to remove something. Let's remove maximum friendly charge. Let's remove that. It's very unlikely that we see that. So yeah, for example, this item again shows up because it's pretty good. And then this shows up because it has an open suffix and the life and the dex and the resist. And then this shows up, it has a suffix crafted, but its modifiers are already good. So this way, you can actually find items that are good and also has empty modifiers that you can craft on. That is a very valuable thing in items, so that's what I incorporate in my searches. So for example, I'm gonna show you one of my searches that I did, so that you can see what I'm using I'm actually using in my builds. So for example, in the actual penetration that I prepared for my league start, when I click on the quiver, we're gonna see what we're gonna see. So damage with bow skills, projectile speed, life, crit multi with bows, generic crit multi, increase elemental damage, attack skills, and yada yada. So I haven't put in empty prefixes or suffixes because it's a league start. For example, amethyst ring. Let me show that. I am searching a ring and I'm searching an amethyst ring. And also when you look at the modifiers, I am looking for accuracy rating and I put in actually empty prefix modifiers at 50. So I want an empty prefix for these rings because I want to craft something good on the prefix. But like it isn't advanced, like this modifier, like this item for example has a lightning resistant crafted on it, and crafted lightning resistance should not be something that I value because I already want to craft something else on the item. So what I should do is to devalue crafted suffix modifier. So I should be adding something like crafted suffix modifiers at, for example, minus 50. That way, this first item is not going to be Soul Knuckle. Let's check if it's actually true. Yeah, Soul Knuckle has disappeared because it already had a crafted suffix modifier. Now I'm getting something else, and this is actually a good ring, like Strength Dex. It's also amethyst ring, it has one resist, and I can craft a prefix and use this, for example. You can strengthen up these searches pretty well if you work on it. Like this is gonna take some time to actually perfect your search, but once you have perfected it, you can actually keep looking for these items and come up with better items because people sell great stuff with like cheap prices all the time. So I'm gonna teach you my actual like pro gamer move, let's just say. So this item is fine, that's okay. For example, this item. So this has chaos resistance, strength, all elemental resistances, some unrelated leech node, and 55 to maximum life. So we don't want this maximum life to be crafted because we want to craft something else in our prefixes. And even if we didn't, like this is not a valuable mode because it's crafted, because crafted mode is on its own value. So what we want to do is to get into the search, and like as you can see, our maximum life is gonna give us 1 point for every number in maximum life. So what I want to do here is maximum life again, but I want it to be a crafted mode. So if I search like this tilde is here used like this. When you go tilde crafted, it's gonna show you all the crafted modifiers instead. And I'm gonna click crafted to maximum life, and I'm gonna put -1 in these weightings. That means if I find an item with maximum life crafted on it, it's gonna gain like for example 55 crafted life on it. It's gonna get 55 points from this, and then -55 points from this. And when you search like this, then that item is gonna disappear. And when you find another item with crafted modifiers, like for example these are mirrored, let's just remove all the mirrored and all the crafted modifiers, all the corrupted modifiers items from our list. Corrupted no, and mirrored is no, because we want to craft, let's say, minus mana cost on our item. So this minus like +9 to all elemental resistances is going to inflate our modifier number, because it's not really a modifier, it's a crafted modifier. So what we want to do is to like get this, copy it, go up top, go to our filter, and add this. But we need to add it the crafted version. The crafted to all elemental resistances. Now, we are valuing elemental resistance at 1, so this should be weighted at -3. Why? Because it's all elemental resistances, so every modifier on that is going to be multiplied by 3 because there are 3 elemental modifiers. It is still here because, but it is value has been diminished because we are now valuing this less. So that is the way I do my searches. And whenever some other modifier comes out, for example, lightning and chaos modifier, then you need to lightning and chaos modifier, and you go to craft it, and you're gonna type like you are valuing chaos res as 2 and elemental res as 1, so this is gonna be -3 again, and you need to add in also fire and chaos crafted, and this is gonna be -3 again. When you add all these modifiers that are inflating the final value that you are seeking, then like if you remove all these by multiplying them by negative numbers, then you're gonna see actual real good items that you actually want to buy. This is the way I actually advance my searches, so that I get into those like real strict searches that find the best items that I'm seeking. Because if you do this, you're actually gonna get really good items. And for example, this has resist, life, and we don't really care about the other modifiers. It is a crafted, like you can craft whatever you want on it because it has empty prefix basically. So this is actually an excellent item to buy. So these are the kind of the items that we are searching, and this is the way to eliminate all the bad modifiers that you don't really value in your searches. I hope you learned something from me, and if you have questions, please do not hesitate to ask them. Tomorrow we are gonna have the league. I'm gonna be online. I'm gonna be streaming about 12 hours every day for at least the first week, and we'll see what happens in the upcoming days of the league. But I am planning on streaming a lot, and I have actually made a bet with my brother that I'm gonna drop a mirror this league. So I'm gonna be playing this league until I drop a mirror. So if you learned something from this, drop a comment, drop a like, subscribe to my channel, and I thank you for watching this video.